everybody, and welcome to the Remembering Akron podcast. I'm your host, Derek Maxfield, and today my guests are Sandy and Craig Bernhardt. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to start with Sandy's story. So your story starts during the Cold War days, doesn't it?
I guess so.
1952 you were born?
Well, that was after the, during the Cold War.
Yeah, during the midst of the Cold War.
I getcha, yep.
Any of your family involved in World War II?
No, my father was in the Navy, but I don't think he was ever in during wartime.
All right. So. Well, since you mentioned your father, tell me about your parents.
Well, my mom and dad started, they were married back in early 1952. They met in an area outside of Albany, New York, Pittsfield, Massachusetts. They're very close communities, and they got married. They had 7 children, and Dad was a police officer at one time, and he was hurt. He was thrown to the ground, and he ended up leaving that profession and needed something else. So the work that he found it happened to be in Akron.
Oh.
He started at Whale Strip It. I don't know how he got the information on the company from over that side of the state, but he ended out here at Whale Strip It and commuting back and forth until he found a place for us to move to.
Wow.
So we moved to Buffalo. We lived in Niagara Falls. We ended up in Barker, and from Barker brought us here to Akron.
All right. So you traveled the rounds a little bit. Before settling down.
Yep.
And you went to the Akron school.
Yep. I started there in 2nd grade.
Okay.
And graduated in 1971.
See, do you have any great memories from high school? A prom or a sweetheart?
Oh, yeah. Well, a lot of fun times. The prom would be one of them. Graduation was pretty special. But teachers, I remember teachers. 4th grade teacher was one of my favorites, and Mrs. Lombardo.
Mrs. Lombardo.
I don't think she lived in Akron, though. Uh-huh. And there were others, many along the way. Mm-hmm. I'm sure some people have probably mentioned Mr. Jenkins to you, who was an art teacher in middle school and high school. And he's since passed away, but he was close to our family. He was also involved in sports and became very close with my brother John. After my father died, he helped my brother. He was very close with my brothers and kind of gave them moral support in whatever they did. And for lack of a father, he died when I was 15. Mm-hmm. So it was just my mom and 7 kids and Akron. And neighbors have always been very good, very close, and very helpful. Mm-hmm. And
nice. Yeah. Do you know the ancestry of either your mother or your father's families?
I have a brother working on it.
Oh, do you?
Yes, and it's a combination of German, Scottish, Irish, and English.
All right.
And I don't know that we have anybody from over there that we've gotten close to, but he's found out quite a few relatives on my dad's side. Not necessarily my mom's, but my dad's.
Okay. Do you know any ideas when some of them came to America?
That I do not.
Just curious?
Yeah,
all right.
I don't.
So you graduated from Akron in 1971.
Mm-hmm.
What did you do after you graduated?
After I graduated, I went to GCC for a semester.
Good for you.
Yeah, and my mom pushed me to get a job, which I did because I needed a car, and I started working at Guy's in Batavia.
All right.
And I became the day manager in Batavia, and it was just with working and going to school, and I realized that, gee, I like making this money, so I need the money more than I need school. So I ended up quitting school and working even more so, mm-hmm. and which was a mistake. But after that, I met my husband Dennis in 1973. It was a blind date.
Oh, really?
Yeah. A guy that I dated was his best friend. We dated once, uh-huh. And my husband had just broken up with an old girlfriend, and he says, I know a girl that I think would be good for you, Dennis. And he mentioned me, and my husband called me. This guy called me on the phone at the time, and it's Dennis Bernhardt. And I said, well, yeah. He says, I'd like to ask you out on a date. I says, I don't know you. He says, I don't know you either, but he says, so it makes us equal. So he went out, he took me out on a very nice dinner, and things just blossomed from there.
Very nice.
So, yeah, that's how we met.
And how long after did you get married?
9 months.
Okay.
Oh, well, it's not what you think. But it was a short engagement. We got engaged in early December, and we were married in May. And the reason why we pushed it so fast is because my parents' anniversary was on May 18th, and we thought it'd be really special to get married on my parents' anniversary.
Oh.
Because they were very happily married, my mom and dad.
And what did they think of that?
My mom thought, well, they didn't fight it. I think I would have fought it because my brother had just gotten married in February.
I see.
February to May, that's not a lot of time to get ready for 2 weddings.
No.
So, yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
And so how many children do you have, Sandy?
We just had Craig.
We have Craig, and
Yeah.
we introduced Craig a few minutes ago. Craig was born in 75, right?
April 12th, 75. That's
All right.
correct.
That's right after the Vietnam War ended. And not long after the Watergate scandal, right? You remember that, Sandy?
Oh, I do remember that. I remember the Vietnam War. It was, when you look back on it today and you see how our veterans were treated, it was not their fault that we went to war. It's very sad.
So your story starts in 1975. Your mother here has told her story. What was it like growing up in the Akron area?
I have very fond memories of growing up in Akron as a child. I mean, it was a different time, obviously, but it was a time when you run outside, you jump on your bike. You could bike all over town all day long. No one worried about where you were or what you were doing because you were just safe. You were in town and you were with your friends. You were in Murder Creek, playing in the creek. You were in the sandbox all day. I just have very fond memories of those days, playing football in the park. We do it all day long.
And you graduated when?
Graduated high school in 1993, class of 93.
How big was your graduating class?
We had about 115 students at the time, which from what I hear is similar to what the class sizes are nowadays, but we had 115.
They haven't grown very much. Every once in a while there's a class with 130, 140, but
Yeah.
they always dwindle back down.
Yeah. So do you have any great memories from high school? A prom or a sweetheart or a homecoming?
All of those. I mean, homecoming was always a great time. Everyone would go to the football game and, get dressed up, and the proms were great. We had a very, very tight class, very tight group, of people. Everyone was friends with everyone. We all got along. It was a phenomenal class to be a part of.
Do you have any favorite teachers that you remember?
Many. I mean, I remember Mrs. Allen. I think that was 5th grade, Mrs. Turry and Mrs. Allen. They did the combo rooms where one had the math and the science, the other had the English and the reading. But they stick out in my mind. Mr. Jenkins, as Mom indicated, he was a great guy. I mean, he really, really great guy, neat guy. I loved his art class. But yeah, they were just great teachers to be around and great memories.
I see. So what did you do after you graduated, Craig?
Well, I graduated and I moved on to St. John Fisher College in Rochester.
Good school.
And I obtained a BA in economics. And my goal was always I can remember Mom and Dad saying ever since I was 5 years old that I'm going to be an attorney when I get older.
Oh, they already had that figured out.
For some reason, it stuck
right.
Because once I graduated St. John Fisher, I went on to Albany Law School, graduated there in 2000. And then after being away for 7 years, came back home, applied for a job here at a local law firm and was accepted. And I've been there ever since, 20 years.
Was that always your goal to be a lawyer, or did you have something else in mind?
No, that was my goal.
Okay.
My goal. Mom and Dad always said, ever since I was 5 years old, I'd tell people, when they say, what do you want to be when you get older? A lawyer. And they'd laugh like hell, wondering where I got that from. But
you never changed paths.
Never changed paths.
Well, that's good. All right. Well, they've trained a lot of lawyers out there in Albany. So, what did you do after law school, Craig?
Law school. You know what I did? I studied.
Well.
I studied for the bar exam,
Yeah.
and I took the bar exam, and it was pretty tough. And I told Mom and Dad, I said, "Look, I got to get out of here for a while." So I jumped in the car and I went down to the Florida Keys.
Did you?
And I said, "I'm going to take 3-4 weeks and just relax, sleep on the beach, take it easy. And if I don't pass that bar exam, I'm going to start bartending down there." So I think they were praying pretty hard that I passed the bar exam. And lo and behold, I did. So once I passed, I came back home and got to work.
That's a good strategy.
Yeah, it worked.
All right. It worked. So are you still with the same law firm now?
I am. I started with Nicholas Perot Strauss, is what it was known as at the time. It's right up on Main Road here in Akron. Been there for, my God, it's been there for over 50 years, I want to say. And when I started, a few years in, we had a little bit of a, shuffling of the name and whatnot. But currently, and for the last 16 years, it's been Nicholas Perot Smith, Bernhardt, and Zosch.
I see. And do you have a specialty in law?
Yeah, myself, I do a lot of the litigation or trial work. It's what I really enjoy. So a lot of it's negligence work, plaintiffs, negligence work, and criminal defense matters. And then we've got folks in the office that can really help people with just about anything, real estates and matrimonial matters and workers' compensation.
A little bit of everything.
We've got most of the bases covered, yeah.
Nice. So how is it that you came to be in the funeral business, the funerary business?
Well, that's a long story. My grandfather, Hubert Bernhardt, established the Bernhardt Funeral Home back in 1934.
That goes back a ways.
That goes back quite a ways, 85 years, roughly. My father, in the mid-'70s, right around 1975, actually took over the operation, the day-to-day operation of the Bernhardt Funeral Home, and he ran it up until 2017, a couple years ago now.
All right.
And when my dad passed away, obviously Grandpa was gone, now Dad was gone, and I decided at that point in time that I didn't want to say goodbye to what my grandpa and my father created, so I made a decision to carry it on. And that's what I've been doing for the last 2 years.
And so without really any formal training in this field, you took this on.
I did. Well, yeah, 44 years is how old I am, and having, been raised by a grandfather and father who are both funeral directors, I guess it's 44 years of hands-on experience, if you want to call it that.
I see.
But the gentleman that had helped my father and my grandfather for the last 35 years had approached me and said, if you're serious and this is something you want to carry on, I'm happy to stay here with you and help you out. And he's done that, and it's something that we've kept going.
Really? And from this grew an interesting foundation. Tell me about that.
Yeah, well, when I lost my father, it was pretty difficult on me personally. And somewhere out of it, I had this vision of wanting to carry on his memory and what he and my grandfather had created. And I don't know where the idea came from. I don't know how it came to me, but it did. I decided that what I would do is, because I'm fortunate enough to be able to take care of my family and provide for them as an attorney, I wanted to do something to honor my dad and carry on his memory. And what I did was I established a non-for-profit called the Hubert and Dennis Bernhardt Foundation. And the mission statement of that foundation is to support the Akron and Newstead communities. And I made a decision when I lost my dad that I would carry on the Bernhardt Funeral Home. But as in for a new chapter, if you will, I decided that all of the community's funeral proceeds that I recognized from the funeral home would not be used to support my family, but they would be used to support this community.
Nice.
And
that's very generous. Wow.
Since that day, since the day I lost my father, I've endeavored to donate 100% of the community's funeral proceeds that I receive back to the community. And we've done some amazing things in the first 2 years, and really we're just getting started.
That's really remarkable. Tell me about some of those things.
Well, there's a lot of need in the community, and I've seen that. I've had many conversations with many different people. We've reached out and supported the Wright Center here, for example. We've assisted the Akron Newstead Food Pantry with their holiday food drive with a grant. We provided a grant to the Newstead Historical Society to help refurbish veterans' gravestones in cemeteries throughout our community. We just, last week, established a new program at the Akron Newstead Senior Center where we're providing funding from the funeral proceeds to the Senior Center for a new meal program. It's going to feed over 500 seniors a year.
Wow.
That's the biggest thing we've done yet, and it's this vision and these ideas that are just blossoming, and it's really starting to kind of just gain its own traction and turn into something that I hope will be a beautiful thing and around for many, many years.
Yeah, that's really cool. You must be a proud mom, Sandy.
I am proud of him. He's been a big help to me since his father died.
Yeah.
So,
what do you think of remembering your husband in quite this way?
I think it's an honor. He thought a lot of his dad to do this, and it makes me very, very happy.
What would Dad say about this, Sandy?
Oh, he wouldn't believe it.
No?
He wouldn't believe it. There's so many things that he would have loved to done with his son that he wouldn't believe it. He'd be happy.
Wonderful.
Yep.
Do you have any children of your own, Craig?
I do. I have Bianca, who just turned 6, and I have Bodie, who is going to be 4.
Nice.
He's a firecracker.
A couple young ones.
Little ones. Oh, yeah, they're keeping me busy.
Are you going to put them in the funeral business, or are you already destined them to be lawyers?
One day at a time. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, all right. Well, having a couple young ones at home is a handful. Grandma, you must spend a lot of time with them.
I do. I get to spend a lot of time. I get to have them overnight, and they are a handful. I mean, being a grandma, raising him having him when I was 21, 22, and now having children that were his age at one time, and 2 of them, not one, at my age, it's exhausting.
Yeah?
One day is exhausting. But it's fun. I wouldn't have it any other way.
Wonderful. Well, you guys have such a great story. So I've saved the last and the hardest question for last. I'm going to do you one at a time. So I'm going to start with Sandy. So imagine a generation from now, your grandchildren are talking to their children. What would you hope they said about you?
Oh, I would hope that they'd say I was there for them and came to all sorts of events that they participated in, and I would hope that they would say they love me and miss me, and that they were happy they had me when they did, happy to have me around.
Wonderful.
So.
And Craig, if you could communicate somehow with your grandchildren or great-grandchildren, would you have any advice for them?
I'd say live every day like it's your last, and appreciate the people around you, because you never know when they're going to be gone.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, it was wonderful to interview you both. Thank you for so much for coming on.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening in, and remember to tune in to the next episode of Remembering Akron.